अस्सलाम वालेकुम एंड गुड इवनिंग। मैं हूं हसन जफर और मेरे साथ हैं डॉक्टर नादिया अनवर। ये डीन है इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ लिबरल आर्ट्स की यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ मैनेजमेंट एंड टेक्नोलॉजी में। अस्सलाम वालेकुम डॉक्टर साहबा एंड वेलकम टू टॉक स्टॉक पॉलिटिक्स। आज हम इनके साथ बात करेंगे सेम जेंडर हॉस्टिलिटी पे, फेमिनिज्म पे। ये वो ऑनगोइंग डिबेट्स हैं जो कि अभी हमारे माशरे में मुकम्मल तौर पे ना समझी जा सकी हैं और ना सेटल हो सकी हैं। तो इसलिए ज़रूरी है कि उन चीज़ों को हम ज़रा एकेडमिकली और इंटेलेक्चुअली और फिलोसॉफिकली समझने की कोशिश करें, जो कि सोशल मीडिया पे और ज़ुबान ज़्यादा आम होके उनका कुछ का कुछ रंग बन चुका है। तो डॉक्टर साहबा, थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर जॉइनिंग अस।
Thank you very much, Dr. Hassan, for inviting me.
ये हमारा जो पैनल है इसके बहुत रूह रवां हैं डॉक्टर हसनैन जावेद साहब, जो कि हमारे साथ आज नहीं हैं, बट नेक्स्ट टाइम जब हम इसका एक फॉलो अप टॉक करेंगे, ही विल बी जॉइनिंग अस। आजकल वो दुनिया की सैर कर रहे हैं, सो व्हेन ही कम्स बैक तो उनके साथ फिर हम नेक्स्ट सेशन करेंगे। तो आज जो है आपने एक पेपर प्रेजेंट किया था अभी रिसेंटली कॉन्फ्रेंस में, उसका जरा टाइटल आप बता दीजिए ताकि हम वहीं से फिर आगे लेके चलते हैं अपनी बात को।
It was about patriarchal matriarchs, intra-gender hostility in Nigerian literature. Since I have worked on Nigerian literature, तो मैंने सोचा कि something related to that should be shared. However, मैं आपको ये बताना चाहूँगी कि around 4 years ago, I wrote an article in The Nation, and it was about intra-gender hostility, another face of discrimination against females.
इंटरजेंडर हॉस्टिलिटी से मुराद ये है कि जो औरतें ही औरतों पे मजालिम ढाती हैं, और वो जो पैट्रियार्कल सिस्टम है उसमें इल्ज़ाम, क्योंकि वो ज़्यादा ये जो कॉमनली ये समझा जाता है कि मर्द औरतों पे जुल्म करते हैं, लेकिन आपका ये एक थीसिस है कि इंटरजेंडर यानी कि आपस में ही ज़्यादा ताल्लुकात ख़राब हैं।
बिल्कुल ऐसे ही है, और my point of view was not that I'm somehow trying to be anti-feminist. I'm not an anti-feminist, and I propound and I propagate many feminist ideas. However, apart from patriarchy, because that has become the focus, and I wanted that focus to be shifted to the periphery for some time, and see that what other things are happening in the center.
Yes.
And when I evaluated that and assessed that, I felt that there are other dynamics to same gender hostilities. जिसको आप intra-feminist gender hostility कह सकते हैं, same sex hostility कह सकते हैं, and some people have also called it false consciousness. That is generated
by... What is false consciousness?
False consciousness, which is produced in one gender against another gender, which is of the same kind. So for example, females sometimes feel that they are less privileged than their male counterparts, but it can be just an illusion, and so they think that somehow the other females which are more privileged are going to be their enemies in future. So this false consciousness keeps on working in a circle, and somehow this feeling is generated in the society that females cannot be a good friend to a female. So that sisterhood, which Africans talk a lot about, African feminism talks a lot about, that is missing.
Sisterhood or female comradeship. Right.
Yes.
Okay. So for our viewers, can we just quickly go through the basic concepts which are at play in this discussion? For example, what is patriarchy? I mean, it is generally understood as male dominance, but how do we actually define patriarchy?
Right. Well, patriarchy, of course, I wouldn't say that it has one dimension on one level, and we have a singular meaning to patriarchy. Patriarchy needs to be judged or evaluated against matriarchy. Right. So whenever there is a binary, and obviously we were talking about the reconstruction of binaries. So when we talk about binaries, there is one privileged position and there is less privileged position. Now, in our societies, and as we see, starting from mythologies of different geographical parts of the world, there have been binaries, and it is one binary which actually is set against another one. So the first thing we need to do is that to deconstruct those binaries and shift the position of those binaries in order to understand what patriarchy is. Is patriarchy just perpetuating violence against a gender? Essentially, which
Yes.
is because in 1993, when UN resolution was passed, and females were given right to voice out their feelings against violence that is done on them, executed by males. But they did not use the word males. They use the word gender against any gender. So now that interpretation is still missing when people interpret that UN resolution or when they talk about feminism, because patriarchy is not mentioned in that resolution. It means that any gender can perpetrate or execute violence on any other. So
Yes.
patriarchy for
So,
me.
so that is not singling out
Yes.
males in this
Ji.
entire
Ji.
debate of violence, because maybe there have been instances where women have exercised violence against men.
Bilkul,
Yes.
that is Amazonian. So we have
Can
examples
be
of
anything,
Amazonians,
God forbid.
and
Yes.
they've been very cruel to men. So the thing is that if you talk about patriarchy as male world, that is a wrong concept.
Okay.
Because patriarchy has now become an ideology. Let's not go into the literal meaning of patriarchy. It is just male world, male side of the things. Patriarchy is whatever actually acts as a powerful agency in the world. So patriarchy has now attained that dimension.
Okay.
Patriarchy is now becoming equivalent to the powerful group of any society.
Okay.
So to me, I
So
need
this
to,
is this is a broader understanding of patriarchy that is
this is an
evolved or
ideology.
Developed. Yes. Apart from the literal meaning.
The literal meaning.
Yes. Okay. So coming back to what you are interested in, intra-gender
Yes.
violence.
Yes.
Is this something more than saas bahu ka jhagda?
It is that at the domestic level. It is that at the public level. It is different. At political level, it has different dimensions. And at workplace, it actually exhibits in different manners.
Like when you have female bosses and female subordinates.
Yes.
So female bosses are more difficult than men. Is that what you're saying?
Now, when I actually started working and researching on this topic, a very interesting thing popped up. That was about how there had been, the first example that I have in mind is that from legal standpoint, there had been some studies in the US where female jurors were taken as research subjects, and some surveys were done, and it was found out that those female jurors were against female victims of rape.
Okay.
And
this is what the data is saying.
Right. So what they did was they obviously had their own sampling techniques, and they did some research, and the conclusion was that the females in the jury, they mostly thought that the female who has gone through that victimization, she should have been more careful.
Okay. She should have dressed modestly.
Modestly.
Because I've heard these things in Scotland. Women talking about girls. No, because it happened because she was
and if
inviting
you remember,
it.
there was an incident in India as well, where a female student was raped by people in the bus, and there had been this talk about that she should have been modestly dressed.
Yes, exactly. Reminds me of Bhaji on the beach, Gurinder Chadha, and these Indian women who go out on day trip somewhere. So the young girl and those old women, they are
Yes,
saying
targeting
these
them.
things.
And,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
So, eventually, it was a very interesting take on how, and the second thing that came up was that they thought that the female who is actually complaining, so the complainant becomes a kind of targeted subject. So, if she is complaining, it means that there must have been intentional, things behind her being raped. So there was intentional consent involved in her being raped.
On a psychological level, let's try to understand it. Like people are doing one wheeling, there's a lot of risk involved in it, and that risk is thrilling.
Hmm.
Do you think it is something of that sort? Like if you know that there is a risk involved in being immodestly dressed,
Mm-hmm.
and you still want to try it?
That's another discussion, and I'm not actually proposing that they should be dressed like that. In any case, in society, I tell my students to dress modestly, because our society
It's not
do as
about
the
good and
Romans
bad.
do.
It's not about good and bad.
It's not
Not the
about good and
not
bad.
raising moral
It's about
issues.
being rational. It's about being mature. It's about projecting yourself well in society. It's about that.
Right.
For me, it's not about that this kind of demeanor or this kind of projection of yourself is going to lend you into a difficulty. It's about that what is appropriate in a certain society, and when you go out or you are among your friends, what kind of demeanor you need to
But using this kind of vocabulary, what is appropriate?
Mm.
It
open to
again.
question.
It again invites that criticism that who defines what is appropriate? Again, that patriarchal system. Because it's the patriarchal system, they define what is appropriate, and then again.
Now, here comes intra-gender hostility.
All right, let's
because
go there.
patriarchy does not
Yes.
actually give us a kind of guideline or a toolkit how to dress up.
Mm.
It's basically the females
In the household. Yes.
who tell a
Dadi
girl
ammas
or a
and nani
daughter
ammas.
and
Yes.
or a daughter-in-law how to dress up
Mm.
and how to behave well.
Mm.
And of course, that also makes me recall to March 12th women marches, where certain acts by females or certain placards by females or certain kind of symbols and signs by females were taken very negatively. And of course, some of them are negative because that also amounts to generating a kind of hostility, a conflict with the other gender. So that's
You think that they were unnecessary things?
Unnecessarily provoking.
Yes.
I would say.
Right. Okay. We just had one 8th of March.
Yes,
I don't know. It
but
wasn't
this
really.
time, since there was so much political
Yeah,
upheaval
it
going on,
was.
that this march became a kind of
Yeah.
very
Not
mellowed down
a
version,
not
version
a very
of the
exciting
marches
show.
that were used.
Yes. Not a very exciting show.
Not a very exciting one.
Yeah. So, well, I have come across one question quite repeatedly in the feminist circles and the conferences which I attended in the UK especially. What is Pakistani feminism? And there is a shade of Islamic feminism also. God knows what is that, but let's talk about it.
Well, sir, and obviously, if what you imply, and I've got to get it right, I would agree with you on that. That these isms, and perhaps I told you that I do not like isms, because what isms do.
I'm not crazy about them either.
Yeah,
yes.
because they compartmentalize things. They
Right.
compartmentalize thinking, and they generate certain patterns, and you need to stick to those patterns in order to make sense of life. So
they deprive you of free thinking as well.
Free thinking as
Yes.
well. And obviously, rationalization is not a part of an ism, because you get fixed with something.
Yes.
So if we talk about feminism, let's say that there was this first wave of feminism, there was a second wave,
Yes.
and there was third, and now we say it's virtual feminism, which is the fourth wave of feminism.
Mm-hmm.
And Me Too has
And
gone.
they're all cause and effect stories.
Yes,
No,
Yes.
no, the
Something
Industrial
happened and
Revolution
triggered.
caused this.
Yes.
World War caused another.
Yes.
And then so on. Yes.
Yes. Rights of vote and
Yes,
rights
exactly.
to have abortion, right to this
No,
and
no,
right to that.
Right to education,
Yes.
right to flower.
Yes. So, with all that, Pakistani females felt that there is a need to have an ism of their own.
Okay.
But then what they were doing is they were ironically doing the same, which obviously they were a part of already. They were already in a system of patriarchy, and we were doubly colonized, because there was this history of colonization, and there was this history of long patriarchal oppression on females. And now they thought that this ism is going to free them somehow. But
Free from what?
free from nothing. This is what I'm
No,
saying.
I'm trying to understand.
Yes.
When you demand freedom, I need to understand free from what?
So, freedom, the kind of freedom that females want, and I may sound here, a little bit more cynical or anti-feminist, and my female colleagues may not be very happy with me on that.
Well, it's our job to make everybody happy.
Yes, so yeah, it's not my job. Exactly. But I tell them that, femalehood is to be enjoyed and to be eulogized. Do not say that we need to act like a man in order to have our position, a right position in this world or in this society. We need to act feminine and let this femininity be recognized and identified as femininity.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time, and I have changed my mind with time, our ideas also evolve. I always thought that cricket is not for females. I do not know.
Yeah, well,
this is something very personal
all right,
to
okay.
me.
No,
Yes.
It's all right. Well, there are things which I think are not really meant for men.
Yes.
Yes.
So there are things that I feel, yes, they are not for men.
Yeah.
So, but
We have a list of
that
things.
may be my very mean and cynical thought, but I stick to it because I'm a human being and I'm a frail human being, and I have my own shortcomings as well. So I think like that. However, with time, I realized that cricket team is flourishing, and females were, getting out of that shell, and that shell, obviously, getting out of that shell was very important for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they did it, yesterday I was listening to a female commentator, and I thoroughly enjoyed her commentary.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the first time, I had to really reevaluate my previous understanding that perhaps females are not good enough for this.
Mm-hmm.
And
but now they are ardent lovers of cricket, so
yes,
why not?
I myself, because
Yes.
my father
But
played
having
cricket
played
and
cricket and then be able to talk about it is different.
Yes, it might
You
have
know
been,
what I
because
mean?
I didn't play cricket, so I may have a different
You don't know
idea about cricket.
what we mean by when we say the ball was properly middled,
Yes.
unless you have felt it on the bat.
But since we had
Yeah.
the training at home, my father
Yeah.
used to sit
Yeah,
with
well,
us
you
and
can
talk
pick
about
the jargons and you
Yes,
can
yes,
get the terminology.
enjoying
you learn
it is
to talk
different
about
from
it.
being in it.
Yes. Yeah.
I do agree with that. So it's also I think our ideas and our values also keep on changing, and with time we need to develop a kind of flexibility in them. And I've learned a lot with time. That yes, there is the boundaries between what should be male and what should be female should be more porous, rather than making them look more rigid. For example, when I did this research, when I started doing it, I was very particularly concerned about why Barbies and pink color toys are set on one corner of the shop, and why blue color.
Was I think Marks and Spencer was the
Yes.
first to remove this discrimination.
Yes.
And because there was some talk about it.
Yes.
Uh,
And they
like
had to.
9 years ago.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
And
then they mingled everything.
They mingled everything.
Yes.
I bought a pair of shoes, Nike brand, and it has slight pink on it. I realized it later. I wasn't liking that.
Yeah.
But yes, you're right. So what we are getting at, that a male should be okay being a male and a female should be okay being a female. Do you remember what Lady Macbeth says when she is going to murder? I mean, she's going to be part of it. Unsex me, evil spirits.
Yes, evil
she wants to discard her womanhood.
Yes, and become masculine in order to
be able to
do that.
So, do you think the women who are, having boy-cut hair or wearing men's clothes or using men's language also, I mean, which was the feminist argument was the space traditionally occupied by men, street, and then the street language too. So we have, we shall go and grab our share in it.
We should have the right to, yeah?
No, we get and grab our share in it. And that's where we are marching in the street using that language.
But sir, here we are going wrong. Again, we are going wrong.
I am speaking from the other side now.
Yes, this is what you're telling me that people say, that they are domains. And we need to grasp the other domain.
Home is woman's domain. Street is a man's domain. Yes.
So no, that is not the case. Actually, we have our domains. I'm more towards African feminism, which Alice Walker calls African womanism. What does it say? Are all genders equal? And why we use the word equal? What is equality? Equality is just a construct. We say that something is equal to something is because both constructs.
Mathematically speaking, left hand side is equal to right hand side. Algebra.
Difficult for us to really but saying that, I would say that equality is just, these are just titles, these are just vocabulary items, these are just jargons we use to facilitate our linguistic expressions. So equality is when you judge something against something. Right. So equality, who has created that equality and what is the criteria of that equality? I mean, why can't females remain female within their domain and be strong? My point is that why do they need to leave or perhaps give off their domain and try to hold on to another domain? They are becoming more weak and they're becoming more, they are threatening their own existence by leaving their identity and holding on to another identity.
Why is that happening in our society, especially young women? The high school graduate, the young women we are teaching.
They like to act like females.
Those who are in the university now, that age group, early to late 20s, young women.
Yes.
What is the confusion for them? Why is it easy for them to get carried away by slogans?
There are two reasons. One, that is beyond their control, and that we have talked about. It's the inherent psychology they have been indoctrinated with since the time of their ancestors, that how female should, because we are a part of a patriarchal society, so women need to contain themselves. And through this continuous containment, they have attained that reptilian brain, which some sociologists call reptilian brain, which is that they need to see meekness, fragility, delicacy, beauty as female, and strength, masculinity, grace, and other qualities as male.
Why do we call it a patriarchal society? Traditionally, आप देखें अगर हिंदुस्तानी फिल्मों में भी चाबियों का गुच्छा तो दादी अम्मा के पल्लू से बंधा हुआ होता था और मरते दम तक उन्होंने वो छोड़ना नहीं होता. You know what I mean? So they hold the resources. The one who holds the resources or controls the resources controls everything else. So other people's lives are being controlled by women.
But sir, the चाबियों के गुच्छे तक पहुंचने के लिए she has also undergone that.
No, वो तो अपनी apprenticeship करके जाएगी ना बहू बन के.
Now she is going to pass this on to the next person.
To the next person.
And that period of oppression needs to be, executed on that other lady for her to become the recipient of that guच्छा of चाबी.
Yes. और आप देखें ये तो do you think looking from this angle at the situation, we need to rethink, is this really a patriarchal society? Patriarchal society का मतलब ये है कि where men have the final say in everything. Is that true?
No, it isn't. If patriarchy taken as an ideology, this is not true.
No, ideology छोड़े, practically the way things happen.
Practically, there are evidences that males still have more privilege in society. That is more politically
What do we
and
call a
socially.
privilege?
देखें,
Like,
at workplace मैं आपको बताती हूँ, जैसे कि I still feel, I used to feel, and perhaps sometimes I still feel that when we are making other departments, I belong to an academic unit, and there are other units, managerial units. I see that my male colleagues, when they approach to those offices, they are being treated promptly, perhaps, and perhaps there is a kind of friendship between them, which I do not like, because professionalism has nothing to do with friendships. So when I interact with them, it's purely professional. But when they interact with them,
they will go out of the way.
There is this
doing
kind
things for
of
them.
a tap on the shoulder, एक हंसी मजाक, एक गुफ्तगू, और साथ काम भी बता दिया. Yeah.
जब मैडम आई तो जी मैडम.
मैडम सीधा
Going
सीधा
by the
बताएंगे.
book strictly.
Yes.
जी.
Not going beyond.
Yes.
Right? Well, that is good for me and good for them as well. Again, I would say that अगर आप उठा के देख लें, globally भी statistics आप उठा के देखें, तो there are females get less, actresses भी, they get less salary, than their male counterparts.
Yeah, well, I can vouch for that.
Yes.
So
there's
a reason.
There is. तो वो जहाँ जिस patriarchy की आप बात करते हैं, that is there. There are shades of that patriarchy, which might change with time, because a lot of things have changed.
If you allow me, ये इंडिया में बॉलीवुड ने ट्राई करके देखा है कि फीमेल को लीड रोल देते हैं, यानी द स्टोरी इज ड्रिवन बाय अ फीमेल कैरेक्टर, लेकिन वो फिल्में कभी भी ब्लॉकबस्टर नहीं हुई,
वो आर्ट
मूवीज बन जाएंगी और आपकी फीमेल ऑडियंस ही उसको लाइक नहीं करेंगे. फिल्म हिट होती है व्हेन women go and watch the movie.
जी.
Right? और उसकी फीमेल ऑडियंस में उसकी
मेरे वालिद साहब बताते हैं कि जब ये गुरुदत्त और दिलीप कुमार की मूवी लगती थी और जब खवातीन रोती हुई बाहर निकलती थी, तो दैट वाज कि ये फिल्म अब हिट हो गई है.
एग्जैक्टली. वीपीस कहते थे ये हॉलीवुड में भी था, हॉलीवुड वीपीस वाज जॉनर. यस, जो गारंटी होती थी जैसे इंशाल्लाह रोते हुए आएंगे बाहर.
राइट.
और यहाँ पे रुमाल भी दिए जाते थे आंसू पोंछने के लिए टिकट के साथ में. ये भी एक ट्रेडिशन थी. So मतलब वो आपके प्रोड्यूसर का कॉन्फिडेंस कि ये इंशाल्लाह आप रोएंगे ये फिल्म.
अब ये रोएंगे.
वो फुल कैथारसिस मिलेगा.
अब जैसे आजकल although I hardly get any time to watch dramas, वो और ज़माने थे जब ये फिल्म बहुत अच्छे ड्रामास लगा करते थे. अब वो ज़माने पीटीवी पे लगा करते थे. अब जो मैं I wouldn't name anybody, but all of us know कि नॉवलिस्ट हैं जो स्क्रिप्ट भी लिखते हैं और नॉवेल्स भी उनके प्रोजेक्ट होते हैं in the form of dramas, जिसमें there are two categories of females. Vampish हैं, although I always see that those vampish characters are more confident, they have their own voice, they can express themselves, more attractive, and they are full of ideas. और एक है जो oppressive है, and she's always on the suffering end, and she bears everything as if she's a non-entity, and she would die for her family and for her, because she doesn't have a voice, but she is being idealized. So toxic female versus a submissive female. और आप सारे ये dramas उठा के देख लें. I've been talking to my students who are working on dramas, और थीसिस में वो ये जब जिक्र करते हैं तो फिर मैं उनसे और पूछती हूँ कि what these dramas were all about, और वो हमेशा ये कहते हैं कि when we watch them we feel that these submissive females are the true face of our society, and we need to actually suffer at the hands of males or females, any gender, but this is our success, and this is how your end is going to be good, क्योंकि फिर वो
अब ये देखिए आपने ये एक पूरे there's a set of vocabulary that has come into फैशन नहीं बोलता यूज में जैसे टॉक्सिक रिलेशनशिप मिसोजिनी
मिसैंड्री भी है उसके
अच्छा
against.
मिसैंड्री भी है ओके तो और वायलेंस एटसेट्रा अब ध्यान में देकर ले ये and people I've seen people using this kind of vocabulary without realizing कि इनका मतलब असल में क्या है और इनकी implications क्या हैं ये कुछ चीज़ें तो totally labeling हो जाती है and labeling in itself is not a very positive
Yes.
thing आप किसी आदमी को भी कह दें कि ये तो किसी औरत को कहते हैं आदमी को कोई भी लेबल देते हैं
There's no black and white actually.
कोई ब्लैक एंड वाइट ये ऐसा है तो ये let's conclude with the picture in our society and because वो हमारा immediate experience है what do you think is happening ये paradigm shift हुआ है because of the foreign ideas ये imported idea है ना feminism का कोई indigenous product तो नहीं है ये हमने कैसे वो वेस्टर्न फेमिनिज्म को यहाँ पे प्रोसेस किया है अपने सोसाइटी के हवाले से व्हाट डू यू थिंक अबाउट
I think it has a connection with colonization.
Mm-hmm.
Colonization further deteriorated these conceptualizations and this tokenism.
Mm-hmm.
वो उस तरह से हुआ कि there was this elite class which was propagated during the colonial period. Who were the followers of the everything that was classically British. And we know कि जो हमारी academia में हमारा syllabus था, curriculum था, उसको भी Shakespeareanize किया गया, उसको भी Dickenize किया गया, और उसको भी you know we
all grew up through that. Yes.
उस वक्त हमें you know we were not told about Indian myths, we were not told about Kalidasa or Shakuntala or Isis or Egyptian literature or other regions.
Even Persian.
You know there's just one question that I ask my class, class, and say कि आपकी कौन सी myth है, and they say Islamic. And I tell them, what is Islamic myth? Where does it? So you call the stories of the prophets it's myth. तो यहाँ पर तो you know ईमान का मसला आ जाएगा आपको. तो कहते हैं नहीं मैम.
Conceptually ठीक नहीं है.
Conceptually ठीक नहीं. तो मैंने फिर कौन सी myth है? फिर मैंने कहा Indian myth is your myth. Culturally speaking.
Yeah, myths तो वो.
The myth जो है आपके एरिया की.
ये तो historical facts है.
तो ये आपकी तो इंडियन मिथ है ना. so we are following. अगर आप ग्रीक गॉड्स एंड गॉडेसेस का पढ़ रहे हो in order to understand classical Greek drama,
अलिफ लैला को बोल सकते हैं.
तो फिर आप इनको पढ़ोगे in order to understand शकुंतला and other works of Indian origin. तो फिर then they do realize कि you know yes they had been wrong. तो अब आप देखेंगे ये जो हम बात कर रहे थे कि ये
वेस्टर्न फेमिनिज्म जो है ये पाकिस्तान में आके रिसाइकिल कैसे हुआ.
ये इम्पोज हुआ नंबर 1 and then imposition के बाद they had been this generation of enlightened period you know academics enlightened. I'm sorry to say that you know until now I see that in most of the literary festivals and other festivals there are few faces that I always see, and this doesn't give me a very good impression of how we are evolving.
तो आपका ख्याल है कि there is a certain class from the elite
class, there is a certain group of people,
women who are actually the carriers of this ideology into this society, and they are the real beneficiaries. तो आपके ख्याल में कि जो आम औरतें हैं हमारे माशरे की they have not benefited from this feminist ideology?
They have it's just a byword for them. They just take it, use it without really
उन्हें कोई फायदा भी हुआ इससे?
No, nothing at all.
So why are they falling for it?
Because they do not know what they're following. They have no idea what they're following. Because वो realize ही नहीं करेंगे where their rights are being mismanaged or where their rights are you know are being taken from them. उन्हें तो पता ही नहीं चल रहा कि what is the root cause of their problem.
लेकिन
perhaps the problem lies within them.
Going back to where they had to listen to their fathers and husbands and brothers.
Yes.
Even that is not acceptable thing.
Yes.
फिर अब वो कहाँ जाएं बेचारियाँ? अब वो उधर से भी नहीं वो वहाँ से भी
जा सकती हैं.
अब वो ये और जहाँ पे वो सब्सक्राइब कर रही हैं वो उन्हें सर्व नहीं कर रहा, और जो छोड़ के आई हैं वहाँ पे वो जाना नहीं चाहते हैं, तो कहाँ जाएंगे?
मगर वो अपने आप को क्यों नहीं बदल रही, यानी नॉट लाइक लेकिन स्ट्रगल तो जारी रहती है, स्ट्रगल इज
So
ऑलवेज
what should they become? That's the
what
question.
should they become? That
Yes.
is the question actually.
Yes.
When they attain the role of a mother-in-law, when they attain the role of a leader, when they attain the
Then
role
they
of
become the bosses. Yes.
then
Yes.
what change they bring in society?
वैसे honestly बताऊं, I've had female bosses and they were very nice, decent ladies.
So they are making change.
They're making change.
They, without following feminism, they are bringing that change which is required. They may call themselves
मुझे
feminists.
ये लगता है कि it's not about men, women, gender का इतना issue नहीं है. I mean, जो मुझे picture सामने आ रही है discussion से, it's more about a decent individual. If you are a decent individual, then everything is all right.
Yes. जिसमें post-feminism में Toral Moy is a good name. Toral Moy says that we need to go beyond these gender boundaries now, or sex boundaries, or whatever boundaries we have created, biologically or socially. And we need to think ourselves as first human beings. Because even if it's at workplace, I always feel that I'm not a female. I'm just a person working.
Yeah.
Yes, my emotions, my femininity, they're all intact. जैसे मैं अक्सर कहती हूँ कि इस टॉपिक पे बात करने से मेरे ईमान को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. I will remain a Muslim. So don't think that if I'm talking about a tabooed topic in the literature classroom, anything would happen to my belief.
Literature में आप कितना avoid कर सकते हैं taboo topics को?
And similarly, I would say that working in a predominantly male workplace or wherever, you need to be a human. देखें, जब आप एक बड़ी मज़ेदार बात है कि हमारे वहाँ पर स्पोर्ट्स होती थी जब मैं एफए में थी, तो वो जब कुछ वहाँ पर ऑडियंस होती थी लड़कियों की, तो वो कहती थी नारा नज़ाकत हुई अल्लाह.
That is funny.
That is funny. So नारा नज़ाकत हुई अल्लाह makes you a feminine. So it means that हुई अल्लाह, that position where you become vulnerable, you become weak.
लेकिन कुछ चीजें ऐसे कुछ discourses, if you allow me to say,
yes.
ये ऐसे भी हैं ये कि औरतें लड़कियां बहुत sensitive होती हैं. I mean, you keep repeating it and everybody becomes that.
Yes.
और लड़कों को तो रोना ही नहीं आता. लड़के तो टफ, you can
even if
you want to cry, you are not allowed to cry.
दीक्षित का वो मुझे एड याद आ रहा है जिसमें कहते हैं boys don't cry.
Boys don't cry. Yeah.
And she in the end she says that boys should not make girls cry, but they should cry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a very good idea actually. So, thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you
Dr.
so much.
Nadia, it was a very interesting discussion. हमें यहीं पे इसे अभी रोकेंगे और नेक्स्ट टाइम हम डॉक्टर नादिया से टाइम लेंगे और we'll come up with another topic related to this. तब तक के लिए आपसे भी इजाज़त लेता हूँ,
Thank you so much,
आपसे भी इजाज़त लेता हूँ. अपना ख्याल रखिए. खुदा हाफिज़.